All right, hello to all you pharmacy students out there. Today, we are going to tackle a piece of equipment that is absolutely core to your studies in pharmaceutical engineering, the Elutriation Tank. Now, I know, the name sounds a little intimidating, right? But trust me, by the end of this, you're going to see it's actually a super smart, simple, and effective tool. And it's one you'll definitely want to have in your mental toolkit.
So here's what we've got on deck. We'll kick things off with the science behind it all, then we'll break down the machine itself. After that, we'll walk through how it works, see why it's so critical in your field, and wrap up by looking at the good and the bad. Sound good? Okay, let's get into it.
First things first, let's talk about this separation principle. You know, everything this tank does, it all boils down to one really simple, kind of beautiful idea. If you get this part, believe me, the rest is a piece of cake.
So what in the world is elutriation? Well, at its core, it's basically a tug-of-war. You've got gravity trying to pull particles down, that's just sedimentation. But then you have this stream of fluid, maybe water or air, pushing them right back up. And who wins this fight? It all comes down to the particle's size and how dense it is.
And honestly, this analogy just nails it, doesn't it? The upward flowing fluid, well, that's our breeze. The really fine, light particles, they're the dust, just getting whisked away. And the heavier, chunkier particles are the sand. Gravity just wins that fight, and they settle right down at the bottom. It really is that intuitive.
So now that we've got the why figured out, let's look at the what, the machine that actually makes it all happen. We're going to take a look under the hood and see how every single part plays its role. The design is just beautifully simple. Fluid comes in through the bottom, that's where our breeze starts. Then you dump your powder mix in through the feed inlet. The tiny particles get carried up and flow out the top overflow, while the heavier ones sink and get collected from a valve at the very bottom. See? Every part has a clear, logical job to do.
Okay, so let's put it all together. This is where the theory and the hardware combine, and we can really watch the magic of separation happen in real time.
It's really just a four-step process. 1, you add the powder. 2, you start that upward flow of fluid, and you have to do it at a really precise, controlled speed. 3, the separation begins. Just like we talked about, the light stuff floats, the heavy stuff sinks. And finally, step 4, you collect your two separate groups. The fine powder comes out the top, and the coarse powder comes out the bottom. Done.
So, we know how it works, but let's get to the big question. Why should you, as a future pharmacist or a pharmaceutical scientist, actually care about this? Well, this is where all that theory smacks right into the real world.
Okay, so this is where it gets really important for you. I mean, this has a direct impact on the actual medicines you're going to be working with someday. Let's talk about making suspensions and emulsions. It's not just about making the medicine look good. No, getting a uniform, fine particle size is so critical. Why? Because it stops the drug from just sinking to the bottom, you know, that caking effect, and that makes sure every single spoonful, every dose has exactly the right amount of medicine. Imagine a liquid antibiotic for a kid. You absolutely cannot mess around with the dosage. And that level of precision, it starts right here with a process like this. Plus, it's not just for synthetic drugs. It's used for natural stuff too, like starch or herbal powders, which makes it a super versatile tool for labs and smaller production runs.
And this quote pretty much sums it all up, right? The quality of a product, how well it works, a lot of the time it comes down to getting that particle size just right. Uniformity means consistent dosing and a stable product. And the Elutriation Tank? It's a classic for a reason. It gets that job done.
But look, no piece of technology is perfect. And to really know your stuff, you have to understand not just what something does well, but also where it falls short. So let's get a really balanced view of this machine.
The good things are pretty obvious. I mean, this thing is a simple, reliable workhorse. You don't need some crazy power setup. It's easy to use, and hey, it separates powders effectively for a whole range of materials. It's just a really accessible and dependable piece of equipment.
But here's the other side of the coin. It definitely has its limits. This is not the machine you're going to use to churn out a blockbuster drug for the masses. It's just too slow, and it's not built for those huge volumes. Its success also completely depends on getting that fluid speed just right. If you're a little bit off, the whole separation can be ruined. And if your particles are really close in size, it's going to have a tough time telling them apart. So it all comes down to this trade-off right here. On one hand, it's simple and reliable, which is perfect for a controlled setting like a research lab or a small production batch. But on the other hand, it's slow, and it can't handle huge quantities, which is exactly why you won't see it on a massive, high-speed industrial manufacturing line. It has its own important, specific place. So to bring it all home, here's what you need to remember.
The Elutriation Tank is a classic foundational tool. It's a perfect example of a core scientific principle being used to solve a really critical problem in pharmacy, making sure powders have a uniform size. And that, as we've seen, is key to making medicines that are safe and effective.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We know this works, but we also know it's slow. So what's next? What kind of modern tech can do the same job, separating particles, but do it way faster, and maybe with even more precision? That's a fantastic question to keep in the back of your mind as you keep going in your studies. Thanks for tuning in.